Alright, let's talk about buffer, you guys. If you have been following me for any period of time longer than 2 months, you have probably heard me rave about buffer. And for good reason. I mean, buffer is an absolutely awesome tool. I used it for a little under a year, I'd say about 10 months, before I switched to CoSchedule. Now, I want to kind of give you a little bit of a reason behind this. So, I actually started off using CoSchedule when I first was looking for a tool to schedule my social media. I was originally started on a WordPress blog, which integrates really well into CoSchedule. So when I was looking for a tool like that, CoSchedule just kind of popped up, and that's what I used. I used CoSchedule for about 9 months before I switched to Squarespace. So, when I switched to Squarespace and I rebranded, CoSchedule just didn't work very well. CoSchedule didn't have a lot of tools available to people outside of WordPress, and it did not connect at all. So, I had to start looking for a new tool, and Buffer was that tool for me. I used Buffer for about 10 months religiously. I got on there every couple weeks. I scheduled posts months and months ahead of time. I did an entire podcast series and then video series and then a blog post about how to schedule months out in advance using Buffer. And people loved it. I mean, I have an entire e-course dedicated to using Buffer in a social media strategy. And Buffer works really well. I have nothing, bad to say about Buffer because even their customer service just went above and beyond. They're just an absolutely awesome company. However, I have switched to CoSchedule now. And the main reason for that is really just a shift in how I am promoting my content on social media. So, with Buffer, you can schedule tweets to go out, Facebook messages, whatever you want to schedule, and you can schedule those into a queue, which will automatically pull out, whatever's at the top of the queue will pull first, or you can schedule something like a hard schedule for a date and time. The difference between Buffer and CoSchedule is that CoSchedule doesn't have a queue. There is just a schedule. So it looks like a calendar. You can drag and drop your topics into the calendar. When my social media strategy consisted of just blogging other people's content, sharing quotes, sharing, just little fun topics, Buffer was fantastic, especially because Buffer has an RSS feed that you can pull from directly. However, now that I have transitioned into sharing more of my own content and more of my own kind of campaigns and, my affiliate links and things that are more on a structured schedule, CoSchedule works much better for that. Buffer just isn't really fluent enough yet in the calendar kind of view for me to use that effectively. The other really important thing that kind of moved me over to CoSchedule was the ability to work with teams. So this month, actually in October of 2016, I hired 2 new team members, and I already had my sister and my husband helping me out before that. And Buffer is just not easy to log into if you don't already have a team set up. So Buffer's kind of team option is $50 a month, which is a little pricey for, just social media scheduling. However, CoSchedule, their plans start at $15 a month. And it's very easy for me to just give my husband the login and let him log into my account and do all the same things. Where if I had to just, use a cheaper Buffer plan, you cannot pre-schedule things out as far in advance because you have a set number of posts. CoSchedule does not have any kind of set number of posts, which is really important. We can post as much as we want for however far out as we want. The difference in the prices has to do with the features. So CoSchedule has a lot more features available to people that is really geared more towards marketing products or marketing your services, where Buffer is more of, I feel like, an entertaining version. So, if you're just using Twitter to gain followers, if you're not necessarily selling things or running campaigns, Buffer is really great. Or just for, kind of building up your social media accounts. But once you have something kind of established and you need to actually start making money from it, CoSchedule is a lot more effective in that. So, I'm going to link to a bunch of resources down below all about CoSchedule and all about Buffer, because I really think that what you choose will completely depend on where you're at in your business, what kind of methods that you like to use for marketing, what kind of tools you like to use on social media, and what social media channels you're on. It also totally depends on what your budget is, because I know that when I started my business, $10 a month was a lot. And it was not something that I could just drop on any tool. I had to be really careful about which one I picked, which is why I started with Buffer and was so passionate about Buffer. So I'm going to link to those down below, and if you guys have any more questions about it, please let me know. I'll also leave a couple other little differences between CoSchedule and Buffer. But before I go, I do want to mention that CoSchedule and Buffer actually are not competitors. They are actually partners. You can connect your Buffer account to CoSchedule, almost as like an added feature. You cannot, however, connect your CoSchedule account back to Buffer. Like, they don't really, it's kind of weird how the integration works. But basically, you can have both accounts and use both. So if you really like the tools on Buffer, but you like a certain feature on CoSchedule and you have the budget to use both, you can. And they connect really well. But if you have to choose between one or the other, I think that if you're just getting started, Buffer is amazing and it can really help you grow your business and grow your social accounts. If you are a service-based or a business where a lot of your content is coming directly from your blog posts to social media, I think CoSchedule might be a better idea. But I will let you decide. I will post all my resources. And please, if you ask questions, I will answer them. So just let me know, and hopefully that helped clear a couple things up.